Good morning, everybody. Here we are as we continue with our maamer, Touching a City Soul, Kuntres Bikkur Chicago. We are in the middle of Ois Aleph of the first chapter, where I'm currently on page 43. Yeah, we're finishing page 43. I also wanted to give you guys a heads up. I don't think we'll reach it today. We might, but we may not. But I felt it was super appropriate. What we're going to discuss in the maamer tomorrow actually is very much related to this week's parsha in this book. So if you have this book or you are, you're able to get it, this week's parsha discuss it, meaning in the book, because each section is by like parshas. So this week's parsha in this book actually has a lot to do with what we're going to discuss tomorrow, Mitzvah Hashem, as part of our maamer. So if you want to read it overnight, I think it'd be a really beautiful thing, and then tomorrow we'll discuss it, Mitzvah Hashem. Okay, so we started the maamer with a pasuk. We started the maamer by explaining this pasuk from Tehillim, which says, trust in Hashem and do good, dwell in the land and be nourished by your faith, right? So we said there's 4 parts. The first 2 parts are instructions and cautions. Hashem is telling us what to do. And the last 2 parts are kind of like a guarantee. They're the end result, the promise, so to speak. So yeah, assurance, that's the word that the maamer uses. So there are assurances that Hashem gives us. So the first 2 are meant to be what we're meant to do, and then the last 2 are what we're gonna get for it. So we started the discussion, the Friedrich Rebbe started a discussion about what does this mean, trusting in Hashem. It means, for starters, we have to be good, wholesome, moral human beings, that we don't rob, we don't feel like we need to steal, we don't need to, break into stores and loot and all these different things that we, by trusting in Hashem, we don't feel like we need to do negative actions in order to get rich, or in order to get, our sustenance, or in order to get good brachos. Not only that, but it discusses how even by not doing negative actions, so for example, by giving tzedakah, it feels very uncomfortable to a certain extent to give tzedakah. These are the dollars I have in my pocket that are meant to buy me things for my family, my food, my sustenance. And I'm giving away those same dollars to someone else, which means those dollars that I now gave away are dollars I do not have anymore. And that mindset could be very dangerous and could be very scary, because in reality, we have to trust in Hashem. And so again, it's the part of Surmer Avasita. Don't do anything negative. Don't think like you have to rob or steal or, break through things, put things on fire in order to get what you want. But at the same time, we have to also realize that by giving tzedakah and doing the right things, we're also getting brachos. So it's not just don't do negative things, but also realize the positivity of when you do the right things. Okay. Then we spoke about this whole concept because in our pasuk, we brought in this idea about bitachon. The first thing is betach b'Hashem, and the last thing is v'raya emuna. Right? So first we're talking about bitachon, and then we're talking about emuna in the context of the pasuk. So one second, why are we talking about bitachon first? Which leads to a whole question about what's the story about saying bitachon first, as opposed to saying, we usually say emuna, bitachon, and now we say a geula, aleph, beis, gimel, right? So first usually comes emuna. Why are we talking about bitachon first? So we brought in a few different opinions on it. The first one is the Ramban, and the Ramban explains that, which is very interesting, how somebody who has emunah, who knows that the Eibishter is here and the Eibishter is in charge and the Eibishter is creating the world at every point in time, he has no question about it. Lav dafka, he will put his livelihood, his entire trust in that Hashem. Not necessarily will that person really trust in Hashem to the point that he's calm throughout his day. Not necessarily will he be, when he gets stuck in the subway and he's running late to a meeting, He knows Hashem's in charge, but not necessarily will he say, okay, Hashem, you're taking care of me in this particular scenario, and giving themselves over and having bitachon in such a level, right? But someone who lives with bitachon, someone who lives in that level, of course, it's obvious that he lives with Hashem's presence. Of course, it's obvious that he lives with Omona. So someone who has bitachon already has Omona. But someone who has Omona, not necessarily does he live with bitachon, right? So we gave that opinion. Not only that, but we explained in a certain sense, according to this, that Omona it's revealed within every person. It's a simple thing. All you have to do is really think about a little bit. I mean, right now we're doing in Chitas, we're doing Tanya. The entire Tanya is basically feeding us Omona. Right now we're doing Shar Yechud Omona. So this is what it is. It's showing us the Eibusher creates the world every single second, and it's proving to us what. So we learn Tanya, we get a little inspired, and that's good. That's beautiful. That's what we need. But to really, really think, okay, right now my personal struggle, whatever that is, whether it's parnasa, whether it's struggles with relationships, whether it's struggles with myself, whatever it is, to really introduce that Hashem, that knowledge into my personal struggle and say, Hashem, I trust you will take care of it, and do the steps that it says in Shar B'tachon, and really have that B'tachon. That's much harder. It really takes a lot of work. Okay, so Muna seemingly is something simple to light up, rekindle our spark of a Muna. On the other hand, having B'tachon, it ain't so easy sometimes. It ain't so easy to calm that heart, calm those nerves, right? So meanwhile, the Rebbe Rashab has a bit of not a different approach. It's just the way the Frierdiker Rebbe is posing it. It's like, wait a minute, this sounds different. This doesn't sound the same. So now we're going to discuss that approach. So the Rebbe Rashab says that explaining the words, and be nourished by your faith, which is the last part of our pasuk, means nourishment, which means we have to understand, what does it mean to nourish? It means increasing, expanding, and strengthening. What? So we said it's easy to get your emunah. It's easy to have faith. But one second, here we're saying, the Rebbe Rashab is saying, we have to actually work on it. We have to increase it, expand it, and strengthen it. It's like a muscle we have to work on. So we have to, now that we know that, let's understand, what does that even mean? What does it mean to nourish, right? So now, we're just a heads up what we're going to discuss today. We're going to get into this concept of nourishment, food, drinking. What does this do for our body? How does this connect our neshama to our body? And once we understand the concept of nourishment, we can go back to understand it within Omona. Okay? So this is what we're going to discuss today, which is very cool, because for everyone who says there's no answers in Chassidus, or Chassidus is way up there, but like I have to get my answer somewhere else. Right now, we're going to literally discuss being hangry. We're going to discuss being tired. We're going to discuss all these beautiful things, and how really food nourishes our body and nourishes our neshama. Okay, you guys ready? We're on page 43, and here we go. Okay, so I'm going to start a little bit higher up. We need to understand the concept of nourishing Omona and why Omona requires nourishment. To explain, Omona is one of the soul powers that is enclosed in the body, right? So we have, what makes us alive? What's the difference between a live being and a corpse? A corpse doesn't have that neshama enclosed in the body, okay? So to Omona. Omona is one of the soul powers that it's enclosed inside the body, specifically in the inner recesses of the brain and the heart. So where is Omona held, so to speak? In our brain and in our heart. The manner in which Omona is enclosed within the brain and heart transcends human comprehension. How does it make sense to have something so spiritual be literally enclosed in something so physical? How does that even make sense? But being that Hashem makes it that way, so we can't necessarily comprehend exactly how it works, nor are we at a situation that we're going to get into a discussion about it. So we're just going to move on with that knowledge. Just as the manner in which the light and life force of the nefesh is enclosed in the various parts of the body is wondrous, since they are polar opposites. It is only possible because it is one of the wonders of the one of perfect knowledge who performs wonders. So Hashem makes this wonderful, incredible thing, and that's just how it works. And Hashem binds, this wonderful thing is that he binds the spiritual soul to the physical body. Nevertheless, since his supernal will is that the soul is clothed within the body, so Hashem decides that that's what he wants. Hashem wants that the neshama, the soul, the Omona should literally be inside the body, strengthening the synthesis of the soul. And the body comes about through something external to both of them, which is very interesting. Hashem wants our neshama to stay inside our body. It's funny because it says, against your will you'll be born, against your will you'll die. Like, as much as we don't want a neshama in its source essence, doesn't necessarily want to come here. But once it's here, this is our purpose. Our purpose is to live, to take every single day and say, Hashem gave me this day. He wants my neshama to be connected with my body, which is very interesting. So we have to. So what's the will? The will of Hashem is that this neshama should be in our body. Strengthening the synthesis of the soul and the body comes about through something external to both of them, via eating and drinking. How do we keep our neshama in our body? Through eating and through drinking. So interesting. Hashem wants us to stay together, wants these two pieces to stay together. How do we do it? By eating and by drinking. When the food and drink are digested, they perform their function and strengthen the bond between the radiance and vitality of the spiritual soul and the body's physical components. By you making sure you have a proper breakfast, not just a half, sip of a coffee and run out the door. Literally, by eating and drinking, you're actually giving chayas that your neshama should stay connected to your body. And that's the purpose of being. We're meant to be here. Through this bond, a deeper seated radiance and vitality of the spiritual soul is elicited, right? So through connecting our neshama and our body, we actually are able to do our purpose, and we of the spiritual soul is elicited. It actually brings our neshama even more alive within us, to become clothed within the physical components of the body and strengthen them even more. As we see clearly, when a person does not eat or drink for an extended period, his spiritual faculties become weakened and they do not perform their functions properly. So someone who's hangry is very hard. They have a very hard time doing Torah mitzvahs. They have a very hard time having Omona and Bitachon in the Eibusher. They have a very hard time using their faculties properly. So we have to make sure to nourish our neshama and our body, the bond between them, by eating properly and drinking properly. Conversely, eating and drinking strengthen one's faculties. The healthier a person's diet is, and the better his dietary regimen is, the stronger his faculties will be. This means that the fusion of the soul with the body through food and drink elicits a deeper seated and stronger power from the inner recesses of the soul. This, ladies and gentlemen, ladies, is Chassidus. Chassidus is telling us we have to make sure to eat and drink properly. And through eating and drinking in the right way, we're actually elevating our neshama. We're elevating the bond. We're strengthening the bond between our neshama and our body. And through doing that, we're actually able to do our purpose in this world. Hashem brought us not to be hangry and be grumpy and low blood sugar and all these things, all the spikes and no, we're meant to have the healthier our diet is, the healthier our real spiritual neshama bond to our body is. And the stronger our faculties will be. This means, I said this already. Furthermore, eating and drinking strengthens all of a person's organs and limbs, even the most delicate ones, such as the brain tissue, which is a receptacle for the light of the intellect. So the brain tissue is a big deal, and even through our eating and drinking, we're able to strengthen and to enliven this. And also strengthens the faculty of intellect itself, meaning the brain tissue, and extremely lofty spiritual power, right? So if we're able to think, which is very interesting, today's Hayom talks about a corpse. Corpse is so to speak, the corpse is a cold intellect. When we wake up, not necessarily we're thinking about these lofty, beautiful, godly concepts, But by having Tchias Amesim, by learning Chassidus, we enliven ourselves. We take that cold intellect and we give it a boost of inspiration. We give it a boost of warmth of Hashem's knowledge. So this is what we're doing now. We're giving that, we're re-enlivening that, our brain is actually taking this thought and using it to think about godly concepts. Although eating and drinking are physical acts, nevertheless, they have an effect even on the most refined and sublime faculties. See how we're doing on time? Oh, I think we're actually going to get to it. Okay. So I think we're going to get to the piece for today. The analogy of the positive effects of food and drink on all aspects of the body is now applied to the concept of nurturing Omona, right? So what does this mean in regards to nurturing Omona? So now we understand that eating and drinking makes the bond between our spiritual side, our soul, and our body stronger. And the healthier we eat and the healthier we drink and the more we take care of ourselves, it makes that bond stronger, and it gives us the ability even to think better. By us eating a proper breakfast, we're giving ourselves proper breakfast, proper lunch, proper dinner. We're giving ourselves the ability to have a more godly life. We're giving ourselves the ability to do our shlichus even better and stronger. So now we're going to understand how this muscle can be understood also to nourishing Omona. What does it mean to nourish the Omona? The same applies in the divine service of nourishing Omona. One must nourish and sustain Omona, strengthening it in every way. As our Rebbe, may his soul rest in Eden, which again we're talking about the Rebbe Rashab, explained, increasing and expanding it. We're meant to increase and expand our Omona. What does it mean? We have to nourish it. We have to work on it. This means that the power of Omona must pervade all of one's faculties and be expanded within them in an abundant manner. So Omona shouldn't just be one thing that you think about once a day. It literally should permeate through us. This is achieved by further strengthening oneself through the service of Torah and mitzvahs with spiritual exertion and physical exertion. Okay, so now we're going to use an explanation based on Lessons in Tanya chapter 42 to understand what does it mean that we should have spiritual exertion. What does it mean we have to work on our Omona in a spiritual way? What does it mean we have to work on our Omona in a physical way? Okay, so we're going to understand it. Spiritual exertion refers to working to reveal the powers of the soul so that the service of exerting one's mind won't be regarded as a burden, enabling the person to delve into and reflect upon the greatness of Hashem for a long and uninterrupted period. So what does this mean? It means that it may be hard to set time for a shir. It may be hard to set time to do chitas. It may be hard to set time to feed your neshama the information it needs in order to get re-inspired every single day. It might be hard. It is hard for many people, and it's a tough thing to set out time to do these things. It's a tough thing to set out time to daven, right? To really focus on your spiritual side. But by adding in just a little bit, whether it's a 5-minute share, whether it's a 10-minute share. I mean, many people now are doing a project Lekotei Sichos. There are 10-minute share in there. And it's a beautiful and wonderful thing because we can set out 10 minutes. We can set out 20 minutes. We can set out 15 minutes. And it's just a matter, it's like a muscle. The more we realize how important learning Torah and how important it is to put on our Hashem glasses and see the world through Hashem's perspective, the more we're able to push ourselves a little bit more, and make our spiritual lives, make our neshama more of a priority during our time during the day. Okay, so pushing that, whether it's 10 minutes, and the next thing is 20 minutes, and the next thing is 30 minutes, and really pushing that a little bit further and further, it gives us more of an ability to be able to think of godly concepts for a longer time period. That is spiritual, that is a spiritual exertion. Physical exertion implies throwing off the shackles of one's body by weakening its corporeal grip and making it submissive so that it won't obscure the light of the soul, thus making it possible for one to understand and feel godliness. Again, we're not talking about sigufim. Chassidus came to end that. We're not talking about, beating yourself. We're not talking about, and we're definitely not talking about starving yourself, as we spoke about clearly about the importance of eating and drinking, right? We're not talking about self-destruction. We're talking about not letting our natural, our natural pulls hold us back from godliness. So for example, I'm too tired to get up for my share. I'm too, I have better things to do with my life than to set that, than to set this as a priority. I have, what's another, like, hangry. I mean, even if you're hangry, go eat something. Hopefully something healthy and a good healthy protein to balance out your stuff. But don't let that hold you back. Don't let that, sometimes the later it goes in the night, the more Yetzer Hara seems to have control over us. So again, don't let the body tell you what you need to be doing. You need to be in charge. You need to be setting those boundaries, this is bedtime, so therefore I'm taking care of myself. But don't let hangry destroy your relationships. Don't let, you're tired and you didn't get enough sleep, so you're going to snap at somebody else. But this is just what it is. This is just what the body tells me I need to do. No, we need to be mentioned, and we need to be in charge of what we tell the body what it needs to be doing. We have to be sensitive to it, and that's why we have to be sensitive to eat healthy and be proper, whatever. But that's what it's talking about. Okay, so I'm going to start again from the beginning of the sentence, and I'm going to read till the end of the sentence without the middle piece. Okay, this is achieved by further strengthening oneself through the service of Torah mitzvahs with spiritual exertion and physical exertion, in conceptualization, understanding, and bonding with a divine concept. So means, and I want to discuss this, portions of light. Okay, this week I'm going to read it for you guys. Nasai, here we go. Doctor of the souls. If a man's wife goes astray, he should bring his wife to the Kohen, right? So this is what we're discussing actually today's Chumash. The Kohen should take sacred waters in an earthen vessel and earth from the tabernacle's floor and put it into the water, right? So that's the process of a Seidah. A body is the soul's wife, but its corporeal desires can lead us astray. The wicked are busy satisfying physical cravings, whereas a tzaddik craves spirituality and shuns physicality by fasting and the like. We must strike a careful balance between them, right? So on the one hand, a wicked person, all they want is their physical craves. They want, in the wise, amazing words of Rabbi Gordon, a 7-layer cake. They want that cheesecake, they want that blint, they want that whatever it is, your favorite thing, and that's all they want. And they don't care how it's going to affect them. They don't care if that's the right thing to eat first thing in the morning or not the right thing to eat first thing in the morning. They just want to satisfy that craving. On the other hand, a tzaddik just wants spirituality. He wants to a certain extent, it's klas nefesh. It's the separation between physicality and spirituality. It's this focus on trying to be more spiritual than physical. But what do we have to do? We have to balance a very careful balance between them. We may imitate the tzaddik, but if we sense ourselves growing weak or depressed, we must turn to the way of the wicked, caring for our bodily needs, but solely for the sake of heaven, right? So on the one hand, it's not our job to torture our body. It's not our job to separate chas v'shalom, our body from our soul. We're not meant to hurt ourselves. We're not meant to fast every day. We're meant to fast when we're meant to fast. When we're told by Torah to fast, and that's it, okay? But even when we are going to take care of the other things, we are going to eat that cheesecake like on Shavuos, right? We need to do those things. We need to eat. We need to drink. We need to sleep. We need to take care of our bodies for the sake of heaven. We need to do it in order to have the right, receptacle to do the right thing. If we grow overly fond of the material path, we must shift towards the tzaddik's abstinence and seriousness until we are out of danger, right? So if we're having a cheesecake every single day, that's also not good. That's also not taking care. And I'm not sure that's exactly what the Friedrich Rebbe was talking about the food that binds our neshama to our guf, okay? If we do not strike the correct balance, our physicality has led us astray. We must seek a kohen, a Torah sage, who is a doctor of souls. He will take sacred waters and the Torah's sublime teachings and place them in earthen vessels, converting them into parables and explanations to which we can relate, tailoring his guidance to cure our particular ailments. right? So what do we do if chas v'shalom we're feeling too grounded, we're feeling too into our, or we're too stuck in social media, we're too stuck in watching the news incessantly, all of these things, and they're pulling us down. It's too much gashmis. It's not for the good. So we turn to someone who can teach us Torah and can take that take the sacred waters and put them into an earthenware, put them into something that's from this world, right? Put it into a mushel, bring it and make it relevant. Living Chassidus. You should be able to learn it in a way that it really makes a difference in an impact in your life. And that will make a guidance and will cure our particular ailments. Serving as a doctor of souls is satisfying, which can lead to pride. The sage must take earth from the tabernacle's floor, an extra dose of humility that he can put into the waters, offering Torah guidance with pure humility. It's so beautiful. And I hope everybody, I'm sure many of you have this book already, take it tonight, reread it, and try to understand and bring about it with yourselves. The focus point was to stay fit in God's service, find a spiritual trainer. Okay, so I personally love this week's Baal Shem Tov thought. Okay, let's see how we're doing on time. Oh, perfect. So that's basically what we're going to leave with. That Emuna and Bitachon, that how do we feed our Emuna is the same way we feed our body. By feeding our body healthy, good things, by making sure to sustain it, it bonds the soul with the body, and it's able to give us the ability to move forward and propel us to do the right thing. So Mitzvah Hashem, today, let's make a conscious effort to make the right decisions, to feed not just our body the right things in order to be able to do the spiritual things we need to do in order to do our shlichus in our day, but also to make sure to set that priority of adding spiritual time for your spiritual, for starters, you're here. That's amazing. So adding that time to be able to feed our emunah, be able to feed our knowledge of Hashem and put on our Hashem glasses so we can live and do our shlichus to the best of our abilities. Hope everybody has an amazing day. See you guys tomorrow, Mitzvah Hashem.